Hello viewers, I'm having a very bad camera with a very bad processor. I'm Solomon, a student of electrical education technology. Well, today I want to discuss about the future computers. Formerly, when the technology started, we have what we call the 32-bit operating system, though it was from the 16-bit. The 16-bit, most of you do not understand 16-bit existed, but the 16-bit computer existed. Yes, even the computer games you play, as of them, all the Nintendos, and they are all of 16-bit and of 8-bit and 4-bit computer. But later on, technology was so advanced to the state where we come to 32-bit. That is when the laptops and the desktop were beginning to function properly with the GUI and the rest. So now, after that, the companies like the AMDs and the Intels and so on, they did a lot of research and came up with what we call 16-bit, which can handle a memory of about terabyte. But majorly, most of the things we are talking about, we could see that in our present computer, we could only see our system which comes with the maximum of maybe 8 gig RAM. That is the DDR3. So what I want you to understand is that that all those calculation in theory is said that 32-bit and 64-bit. 64-bit can handle up to 8 gig RAM, while 64 can handle more than that. That it can handle up to 32 gig, it can handle up to 64 gig RAMs and so on. But now, what I'm here to discuss is not about the 32-bit and 64-bit. What I want to discuss is about the future of our computer. Most of you now will be expecting that okay, since the calculation is times 2 of the so-called bits, maybe now that we have 32-bit, later on we are going to well, okay, let me say this. Since we are having 32-bit and later it became 64, okay, now people will be imagining, okay, now 64 times 64 is 128 bit. That the later computer will be coming with 128 bit. If I'm fast, let me be slow. 128 bit is not what is going to come next. What 128 bit is not what is going to come out. So what we should be expecting and be looking up to now is quantum bit. I don't know whether you have heard of the Google quantum supremacy, that they have achieved the quantum speed or whatever in the system. Now the next computer that is going to be out is a quantum bit. That is the Q in the bit, qubit. They call it qubit, which can handle zeros and one singly. Now before we move on, I will just allow you to watch the little video that Google release about their achievement of quantum supremacy. Maybe it will give you a little highlight of the computer we are going to use, though what they were showing in the video was a very huge device, but that shouldn't be the problem. There are going to be ways now the research is that they have achieved it. The qubit, it has been achieved, but later on now they are going to make it into a micro level, which even your cell phone will be able to handle a qubit. Yes, qubit. Somebody will be saying, okay, qubit, never have just taken light. This is the situation we have in this country, most especially now the light is gone. Maybe now to 3 or 4 hours we'll have our power back, but that's not what we come to discuss. We come to discuss about quantum bit. In later video I will explain how the quantum supremacy or the quantum bit is going to work, but for now, watch the little video and bye for now.
The tantalizing promise of quantum computers is that they can do certain tasks exponentially faster than classical machines. And the quantum supremacy experiment is proof that this is indeed the case.
The word quantum computer is a little bit misleading because it sounds like a computer. And when people think of computer, they think of a phone or a laptop. The truth is the phone and the laptop and even a very powerful supercomputer all operate according to the same fundamental rules. And a quantum computer is fundamentally different.
The classical bit stores information as a 0 or 1. And a quantum bit can be both 0 and 1 at the same time. If you have 2 quantum bits, then there are 4 possible states that you can put in superposition. With 3 qubits, it's 8, 4 qubits, it's 16. It grows exponentially.
The nice thing about quantum supremacy is that it is a very well-defined engineering milestone.
In a nutshell, what we're trying to do is we're trying to show that experimental quantum computers can surpass the best supercomputers in the world.
To actually demonstrate quantum supremacy, we have these 3 steps. First, pick a circuit. Second, run it on the quantum computer. Third, simulate what the quantum computer is doing on a classical computer. We gradually increase the complexity of that circuit. At some point, it becomes completely impossible for the classical computer to keep up. Then we say we've achieved quantum supremacy.
We started building together the quantum chips to do this experiment. And then the evolution of the devices with more and more qubits and more complexity. It's very much an iterative process.
A lot of the work that we put in was not just these chips, but is also the infrastructure that you need to drive those chips. The cryostats that we install them in, all of the control electronics, software, all of this stuff is needed, and it all has to be developed.
When the experiment started, we were getting data from the experimentalists. We saw initially a beautiful straight line corresponding to our predictions.
Then, right before we hit supremacy, it dropped much faster and it fell below the threshold where it needed to be.
And there's nothing we can do because we don't know how to analyze past that. So everyone's like, oh, we're screwed because it's getting really, really bad at large number of qubits.
It's like, well, maybe there's some really complex interaction between all the qubits.
It turned out that the reason was rather benign. We calibrated it a little bit better and then this problem disappeared.
So there wasn't like oh, we did it.
I think we crossed it, and then it wasn't clear that we crossed it, so we crossed it a little bit further.
It took me like a day to realize, like, hold on, this is actually experimental data. It's kind of amazing to see, how well the theory works.
The processor that achieved quantum supremacy is called the Sycamore processor.
And it's parallel processing 2 to the 53 states, which is 10 million billion. And thus that enormous amount of parallel processing is what gives it the power.
When we run small chunks of the computation in the largest supercomputer in the world, our estimate is that it will take thousands of years to complete the full computation.
Technologies are born this way. Let's say the space age started with a satellite orbiting Earth, and it was not doing much, it was just beeping.
The big technical achievement of quantum supremacy was really dependent on all this young talent who's kind of taken this and gotten it to work at a very technologically capable level.
We have reached a new computational capability. There are certain computations, the only place in the world where you can compute those things is here in our data center at Google Santa Barbara.
For the first time, we're showing that we can solve a problem that is just infeasible to do on the biggest computers ever made by civilization.
And what's exciting is now we're ready to turn this over to the world and say, let's figure out what we can do with this.
The thing that excites me most is building a useful quantum computer. When we can give a researcher a tool that is unlike any other and say, great, figure out something cool to do with it. Mankind is pretty good at that.